गिरिभरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानन्दनं व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दनं व्रज जन माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतशः श्रीमद् ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की। All glory to the Son of devotees, Hare Krishna. All glory to the Son of devotees, Hare Krishna. All glory to the Son of devotees, Hare Krishna. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna Prabhupada Shrimati Bhakti Vikasa Swami Nityanamani. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, reading from chapter 7, text number 14, the famous verse. Okay, so we'll go to the words. Who's got the go down? Yeah. Daivi hi esha guna mai mama maya Duratyaya Mam Eva Ye Prapadyante Ayam Etam Taranti Te Daivyesha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratyaya मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते दैवी एषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते दैवी एषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते. Please repeat. दैवी एषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते दैवी एषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते दैवी एषा हि गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते. दैवी एषा गुणमयी माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते दैवी एषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मायामेतां प्रपद्यन्ते दैवी एषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते. Okay, Mataji's. Eesha gunamayi mayametam taranti te Daivi esha gunamayi Okay, anyone else? All right. Devi transcendental. He certainly Esha, this Gunamai, consisting of the three modes of material nature. Mama, my. Maya, energy. Dhiratyaya, very difficult to overcome. Mam, unto me. Eva, certainly. Ye, those who. Prapadyante, surrender. Mayam, etam, this illusory energy. Taranti, overcome. Te, they. Translation and report by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay. Translation. This divine energy of mind consists of the three modes of material nature. This divine energy of mind consisting of the three modes of material nature is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Purport. The Supreme Personality Godhead has innumerable energies, and all of these energies are divine. Although the living entities are part of His energy and are therefore divine. Due to contact with material energy, their original superior power is covered. Being thus covered by material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. As previously stated, both the material and spiritual natures, being emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are eternal. The living entities belong to the eternal superior nature of the Lord, but due to contamination by the inferior nature, matter, their illusion is also eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore called Nitya Baddha, or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of his becoming conditioned at a certain date in material history. Consequently, his release from the clutches of material energy is very difficult, even though that material nature is an inferior energy. But because material energy is ultimately conducted by the Supreme Will, which the living entity cannot overcome, inferior energy, material nature, is defined here as divine nature due to its divine connection and movement by the divine will. Being conducted by divine will, material nature, although inferior, can act so wonderfully in construction and destruction of the cosmic manifestation. The Vedas confirm this as follows: Mayam tu prakriting vidyan mayinam tu maheshwaram. Although Maya, illusion, is false, is temporary, the background of Maya is the supreme magician, the personality of Godhead, who is Maheshwara, the supreme controller. Svetashvatara Upanishad 4:10. Another meaning of guna is rope. It is to be understood that the conditioned soul is tightly tied by the ropes of illusion. A man bound by the hands and feet cannot free himself. He must be helped by a person who is unbound. Because the bound cannot help the bound, the rescuer must be liberated. Therefore, only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representatives, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without such superior help, one cannot be freed from the bondage of material nature. Devotional service or Krishna consciousness can help one gain such release. Krishna, being the Lord of illusory energy, can order this insurmountable energy to release the conditioned soul. He orders this release out of his causes mercy on the surrendered soul and out of his paternal affection for the living entity, who is originally a beloved son of the Lord. Therefore, surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord is only means to get free from the clutches of the stringent material nature. The word mam, eva, also is significant. Mam means unto Krishna, Vishnu only, and not Brahma or Shiva. Although Brahma and Shiva are greatly elevated and are almost on the level of Vishnu, it is not possible for such incarnation of Rajaguna, passion, and Tamoguna, ignorance, to release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. In other words, both Brahma and Shiva are also under the influence of Maya. Only Vishnu is the master of Maya. Therefore, he can also give release to the conditioned soul. The Vedas, Shvetasvatara Upanishad 3.8, confirms this in the phrase, Tam eva viditva, or freedom is possible only by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukti pradata sarvesham Vishnur eva na sangshayah. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuramitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishnam Sthapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Tatati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sheta Patakalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagar Sadam Sagana Ragnathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savaditam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vijakan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinavanda Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namustati Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Bhrishavanusati Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhishya Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Budale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Nitinamane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Budale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarinya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tinera Smarana Hai Vigna Vinashan Anayashe Hai Nijavanchita Purana Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmash Patikakridam Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrivam Uparsmahe. Can I get that water? real quick. So let me quickly pull up some things here. Okay. So here we're discussing this important chapter here, 7th chapter, knowledge of the absolute. As we discussed a little bit last week, the 3 modes of material nature, sattva guna, rajaguna, and tamaguna, being goodness, passion, and ignorance. How that it binds the living entity and forces him to accept one body after another. And so here, Krishna is making it very clear that these 3 modes of material nature are very difficult to overcome, but although they are external, they are divine. This is known as the Bahir Anga Shakti, means the external energy of Krishna. Often, sometimes people in the different philosophies or religions, they think that material nature is demoniac. Generally is looked as the devil, right? You know, they look at weed or like some sort of intoxication as the devil, as the different substances as the devil, different philosophies as the devil, different places as the devil's workshops, such and such. But actually, that is not a proper understanding. That's actually in the science of devotional service or the Vedas. If one is dedicated to God consciousness, this platform of consciousness is defined as a separatist, one who sees separately from God. If you see the energy of God and then the other side, you see, okay, the energy of the devil. That's a separatist idea. That the idea is that not everything comes from God. There's the devil and there's God, 2 different things. But actually there is one. There's God. From him comes everything. So, but it's important to understand that he has innumerable energies. That comes as I don't exactly know which, I forget which Shastra exactly is from that. Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shuyate Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriya Cha. The Supreme Lord has multipotencies which act so perfectly that all consciousness, strength, and activities are directly solely by his will. So he has many, many, many energies, and one of these energies is material nature. The 3 modes of material energies. This divine energy of mind consisting of the 3 modes of material nature is very difficult to overcome. So this is also God's nature. What you see to be evil actually is God's nature. He's putting this into play. He's the only one. Just like he says in the 9th chapter, just like a string that holds up all the pearls. What's the exact translation? Do you remember? You don't remember the exact translation? It's like 9:3, right? So. Dhananjaya. Just like the pearls are hung on a string. So he is the upholder of everything. 7 what? It's 7:7, huh? Okay, it's in this chapter. I think it was the 9th chapter. I'm tripping. Okay, 7:7. No, not 7:7, is it? Okay, it is. It is, okay. O conqueror over all, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. So everything is coming from Krishna. He's the Adi Purusha. This is his energy, this mature nature. So to look at it as a separate thing is actually a separatist mentality, often defined in the Srimad Bhagavatam as the mode of ignorance. Performing Krishna consciousness, no God consciousness in the mode of ignorance, seeing things separate from Krishna. So this is a divine energy of Krishna, and so is the living entity. The living entity is the marginal potency, is the Tatashta Shakti. It's mentioned as the superior energy of Krishna, and because it is non-different qualitatively from Krishna. So it is superior to the external energy, nonetheless it is divine. So, but when the living entity comes in touch with this material energy, then he becomes conditioned by it. Why? Because he is very small. He's very small, Krishna is very big. And material energy is also very big because it's a direct, it's his external energy. So when one comes in touch with that material energy, then he is immediately covered by it. And he is bewildered by it, as we can see in our own lives. Here, when we read Bhagavad Gita, ourselves, after practicing devotional service for some time, we think sometimes we'll read certain verses and say, okay, this defines the karmis. But if you actually read the Bhagavad Gita, you realize who he's talking to Arjuna, who is very, he's non-envious of Krishna. He's very dear to Krishna, but he has seemingly become bewildered on the battlefield. So this Bhagavad Gita that is being discussed is not specifically aimed at the karmis, although it gives a good understanding of what is going on in this material world, but it's actually directed towards us. And every single individual living entity, it is directed towards them. That's why it's absolute knowledge, because whatever level you're at in Krishna consciousness, the knowledge is ever expanding. It never ends. It's not like you read this today and tomorrow, okay, this is meant for the neophytes. That means we are a neophyte. But when we read Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is revealing that transcendental knowledge on all levels. That's the most amazing thing about Krishna, is his divine energy. It's on all levels. Whatever level you are in Krishna consciousness, when you read these verses of Bhagavad Gita, they reveal unto us the absolute truth by which we can make advancement. Don't think that you're reading a verse and that applies to the karmis. Then we're foolish. We should see how it exactly applies to us. We should see, this is being spoken to Arjuna, who is on the level of love of Godhead. And we're thinking, well, that's for the karmis. Well, this is, okay, the karmis are, this is how they're, bewildered and such and such. But actually, even those who are practicing devotional service, who are not on the platform of the love of Godhead, it actually deeply applies to us, because the modes of material nature affect us. If we haven't noticed, then we're so much in ignorance that we think we're above it. I think we discussed the PDS, the pure devotee syndrome. That I'm a pure devotee now. I have read Bhagavad Gita. I'm chanting 16 rounds. I am doing devotional service. Now I'm a pure devotee. I'm above it. I have overcome it. I'm on the platform of Vishnu Maya. So such thoughts and such a platform of thinking is illusion. Like who is pointing this out? I forgot. We were sitting together and, I think it was Ali Krishna Prabhu. He said, no Christian thinks, I hope I'm still a Christian in 20 years. Because they don't understand, actually, the force of material nature. But every devotee, you see, they're almost like, man, I really hope I make it. I really hope I make it. They're constantly praying to the Lord to stay in devotional service. Why? Because one who is humble, one who is got on this platform of dainya, one who has developed humility, he understands that he's very small and that this material nature is very difficult to overcome. As Bhrigupati Prabhu was telling me yesterday, he said that as soon as you give Maya a small chance, that's it. You're done. You think it's fine. It's okay, a little bit of Maya, a little bit of thing. I'm in my own space. Nobody can see what I'm doing. I can associate with the karmis through the platform of social media. We're not going and associating with the karmis directly, but we're watching what they put out. We're associating them through TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. And we think, okay, this is okay. This is my me time. Why am I saying this? Because I know, because I do it. I'm not pointing anyone out particularly, because that's my own experience also. That helplessly you're acting. You're acting helplessly. It's like you don't want to do it. You know what is right and what is wrong, because hopefully by that time you've read enough to understand. But we are dragged by our mind and by our senses, by this material nature, this mode of material nature, to forcibly act in ways that we do not want to act. Forcibly act in ways that is contrary to the platform of devotional service. That is the power of material nature. That is the power of Krishna's energy. And one can appreciate that. It's a part of Krishna consciousness, is to appreciate that. Okay, wow, okay, this is Krishna's energy is very amazing. That it can bewilder the conditioned soul. Even when we have everything perfectly, we can, in our minds, make everything imperfect. When we have the association of Vaishnavas, that the Shastra propounds as the highest platform of existence, to be amongst the devotees of the Lord, to be amongst the pure devotees of the Lord, we in our minds, so illusion can create a situation which we think we're suffering. That is the power of the material energy. When we are not conscious, when we are not actually performing devotion service, as Brigupati Prabhu is saying, consciously, then we are covered up by Maya, by the illusory energy on different levels. Maybe externally, I wear this cloth, saffron cloth, which signifies renunciation. But what is the point of renunciation when I'm attached in my mind to so many materialistic ideas and so many materialistic desires? As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, such a person is called a pretender. Although he is renounced externally, he still, in his mind, tries to enjoy different things. Such a person is called a pretender. And in time, if he is not careful to cut those things, then simply his life will be taken over and devotion service will be lost. Why? Because he is not afraid of Maya. As Prabhupada said, that is the problem with my Western disciple, is that they are not scared of Maya. They're not afraid of Maya. We're not afraid. Why? Because we think we are superior. We think we are superior. We're not fearful of Maya. We think, okay, I will be fine. I am strong enough in Krishna consciousness to do this. I'm strong enough to go and associate with the karmis. I'm strong enough to eat karmi grains and be okay. I'm strong enough to listen to karmi music and not be influenced. That is the power of the material energy. We think we don't become influenced. That's why the Shastra is there giving us proper guidance to not do such things. So that's why Mukundadatta Prabhu, he was making this point, Shastra, what is the word that he was used? That one should act according to Shastra. There is the Swabhava and Shastra. Yeah, Shastra Janya. That one should know Shastra, one should study Shastra, and one should act according to Shastra. If one thinks that he is beyond it, then one does not need to act within it. Then he is captured by Maya and slapped, as the verse comes. One is just slapped by Maya. One is thrown back into the whirlpool of material existence, in which he is stuck in darkness, as this Prabhupada starts to define. Guna means rope. What do you do with the rope? You bind someone. Like Krishna is bound by the rope of the love of Mother Yashoda, but we are not having love for Krishna. We are bound by the desire to enjoy in this material world. We are bound by that. We have two options: either to bind Krishna with the love that we have, with our love, or transform that eternal love for Krishna into lust and seek after material enjoyment. That is the two options we have as the Tatashta Shakti of Krishna. That is the choice we have. Whether we want to be fully dependent on the material energy or fully dependent on Krishna. That is your choice. Every moment in your Krishna consciousness or your practice of Krishna consciousness, that is your choice. What do you want? Do you want Krishna or do you want vagina? That is the two options. That's the first few words I heard from the mouth of my spiritual master. I was like, well, I'm walking out of this room. So, what do we want? Do we want Maya or do we want Krishna? That is the two options that we have. Because this rope will pull us, just like the Bhagavatam gives the analogy of a silkworm, that it creates silk, but it traps itself as it creates the silk. It traps itself. This rope, we bind ourselves. These activities bind us. These karmic activities, these fruitive activities, they bind us into this material world and they choke us. But we're so foolish, we think we're enjoying. We're so foolish. That is the power of Krishna's energy, is that we think we're enjoying. We think we are happy. That is the nature of illusion, that which is not real. We think we can enjoy or that we are enjoying. But factually, what enjoyment is there? I saw this really amazing thing from my spiritual master. It came up. It said, their habits are unregulated, imbalanced, unhealthy, and sinful. Their bellies filled with junk food and animal corpse. Their values perverted. They cannot trust even their spouses, children, or parents. They're proud of their big buildings, big highways, big economy, and big universities. But their minds are so agitated that they cannot sleep without the aid of a sleeping pill. But they think they are happy. They think they are happy. They are bound by the rope. Everybody in America is the home of the free. Is that right? Yeah? Land of the free. The land of the free. Home of the brave, sorry. But, and the more freedom that people are after in this world now, the more they become bound. You'll notice that. The more freedom to choose, right? The freedom. What does freedom mean? Choice. And that freedom of choice gives us happiness. But the more you try to be free in this material world, the more you become bound up. That's why Shastra says that one should perform austerity. What is austerity? Voluntarily taking upon suffering. Voluntarily not letting the senses become free. Restraining oneself. But we see that now. The more that one wants to become free, the more one is bound up. We've met our god sister in Dallas, and she was telling us that this nowadays everybody's promoting this being gay, lesbian, transsexual, all of these things. But she said, so far in her practices, anyone that is gay or transsexual she has come across, there's not a single person that does not have a mental issue. Severe, like depression. She's a general practitioner or some sort. Doctor, yeah, she's a doctor. Not a single person doesn't have a mental disability. You want to be free. You want to be free to an extent where you want to choose the gender you are, what gender you want to be. You want to be free. You want choice. You want to freely choose. But the more you try to choose, the more you become bound, the more you suffer. Why? Because you are not Krishna. You do not have choice like that. You do not have the ability to manipulate material energy like you want to. And that is the reason you're bound up. The same thing that we want to control controls us. We're becoming bound up because of that desire to enjoy, to become Krishna. So the karmis, they're functioning like this. That they want to constantly control things. You'll see that, that's the whole thing of science. It's the whole thing of this stupid gender thing, and this scientist trying to control different aspects of nature. In Dubai or wherever it is, they try to control this, that they can control rain and send up some electromagnetic waves or some sort and influence the atmosphere to attract clouds and rain. And then they got huge amounts of flooding everywhere in the middle of the desert. So you try to control material nature, but because it is not under your control, it is under the divine control of Krishna, one immediately becomes bound up. One immediately suffers more when he tries to control. And that applies the same in devotional service. The more we try to be a controller, the more we lose the platform of devotional service. The more we cultivate this attraction for name, fame, adoration within devotional service also, the more we become foolish, the more we lose ourselves. And we start to enjoy the externals of devotional service. Become illusioned by Krishna's energy, thinking we are performing devotional service. That's the Prakriti Sahajas. They're thinking they're on such a high platform. But actually they're not even on the platform of devotion. So when we try to enjoy on the level of Krishna consciousness some sort of name, fame, adoration, distinction, then immediately, punarmushiko bhava, become a mouse again. But you think you're a big person, may have a big position. May have a big position, and in your big position, we may make a show of looking very good, doing many things. I've noticed that, Krishna mentions a little bit earlier, that this mode of passion is this mode of passion, this lust mixed with the mode of passion is the eternal enemy of the living entity. And we often, when I think about that, generally think about the material world, how one is running after so many different things and his desires become too big and he becomes bound up and he suffers. But actually it's the same in devotional service. When we become influenced by lust and it's in touch with passion, then we seemingly working very hard in devotional service, but have not cultivated what is real Krishna consciousness. We're covering ourselves up by working very hard. But as soon as that work stops, and then, how do I become Krishna? How do I be Krishna conscious? So the energy of Krishna, Maya, she's very expert. She's not going to let up very easy. She's a servant of Krishna. She's very dear to Krishna. So the living entity, who is, Srila Prabhupada mentions here, as a Nitya Baddha, who is eternally bound in this material world, has to undergo severe levels of penances and austerities to come to the platform of just understanding or even knowing about Krishna, or to speak of performing devotional service. So, because our karma, it continues to bind us. And as we've discussed many times, all of us sitting in this room, apart from a few exceptions here, such as Parth, sitting here, who has never done anything sinful in his whole life. And how old are you? 14? 14. Wow. I wish I was like that when I was 14. God, right? Everybody's sitting in this room, and Prabhuji here, of course. Apart from a few devotees, and of course Mataji over here, sitting over. We can think about what we did when we were 14. It's kind of shameful, what were we doing? My God, don't even think about it. It's like all the four legs broken at once, And yeah, I'm dead serious, bro. That's how Australia goes. And the craziest part is the parents facilitate it. They would literally buy all the drinks and then put it in their house, and then we'd go have a big party over there. Down under, yeah, mate. Yeah. So, but, so one, it's practically impossible, as Prabhupada is saying, to overcome material energy. You can see no matter how, sometimes we go out and we speak to people and we explain to them, look, you're trying to enjoy in this material society, but there's nothing but pain. What are you going to get out of it? How long are you going to live a life of desperation where you're constantly drowned in this ocean and your enjoyment is coming up and getting a little bit of gasp of air? That is your enjoyment. But no, that enjoyment is worth it. You hear this in universities. Of the most intelligent classes of people in the society, this is what you hear. You're suffering. Yes, I know I'm suffering. Hey, they're intelligent enough to admit that. I know I can't get out. I know I'm struggling. But the pursuit is what gives me happiness. The process itself is suffering, but the pursuit, the idea that I'll get enjoyment is my happiness. But there's no enjoyment. The idea, that's their whole philosophy. The idea that I'll eventually enjoy is what gives me happiness. That's called suffering too, because you never get it. And then you realize, you get to the age of whatever, I don't know when people realize it, because I guess we dipped out before that. But we started to realize, this is a scam. College is a scam, society is a scam, and we've got to get out. But even though people understand that, they're so pulled by the modes of material nature, they can't get out. They cannot be released from this tight knot of material existence. But the fortunate souls, as the nice book is there by Dhanavir Maharaj, those few who are very sincere and are actually looking for the absolute truth, Krishna, he allows them to come in touch with the bona fide representatives of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who come in the parampara, those who come in the disciplic succession. And they come, as Prabhupada says here, that therefore only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without such superior help, one cannot be freed from the bondage of material nature. So, the spiritual master comes to save the disciple, the conditioned soul, the Nitya Baddha, one who is eternally bound in this material ocean, who's got a boat but is struggling very hard. But the spiritual master comes as the captain of the ship, and the Vedas, who are the personification of Veda, Krishna himself, these Vedas, they are very, very favorable winds by which we start to cross that ocean. And the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto, in the prayers of the demigods, a very nice verse comes in relation with this boat. That, O lotus-eyed Lord, by concentrating one's meditation on your lotus feet, which are the reservoirs of all existence, and by accepting those lotus feet as the boat by which to cross the ocean of nescience, one follows in the footsteps of the Mahajans, great saints, sages, and devotees. By this simple process, one can cross the ocean of nescience as easily as one steps over the hoofprint of a calf. So it's mentioned this material ocean is actually very big and it's very difficult to overcome. And I believe Jiva Goswami, Prabhupada mentions in the Krishna book, comments that actually this big ocean of material existence, when one starts to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, and when specifically through the Mahajans as being mentioned here, that the ocean shrinks and it becomes the size of a hoofprint of a calf. How hard is that to step over for anyone? Even a baby can do it. No problem. No problem at all. So this is the verse, Krishna is mentioning this point here. That you simply, not that the ocean becomes very large, it takes years and years. Sometimes actually a verse comes that, let me see, maybe it's here, that one is situated on the lotus feet of the Lord, and that boat of the Lord helps one cross the ocean. And in the Krishna Prabhupada is saying that then people may ask the question, if the boat is already crossed, what about all the conditioned souls on this side? What will they do? And then he gives that commentary that actually it's not that the lotus feet of the Lord, leaves the shelter of all the other conditioned souls, that it is the material ocean. It becomes very small and the devotee just crosses over it with the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So when we take shelter of Krishna exclusively with no other faith in anything else, full surrender, that accepting Him as our complete Lord, then we can become free. As long as we accept anything else as a part of the solution of our problems, then we are not solving anything. We think, okay, this is my problem. Okay, maybe I should approach this person, that person. Maybe I should go get a life coach. Go get this motivational speaker. Should we get a motivational speaker to enthuse us in our devotional service? Some life coach that can teach us, some skills here and there. No, none of these things are recommended. This is actually, if we do such things, that is actually offensive. To take shelter of a fallible soldier of this material world who has no idea of devotional service. They have no idea what is going on. They don't have any idea. Why should we take shelter of them? They're also fools and rascals. They're one drowning man trying to save another. Krishna has given everything in the Bhagavad Gita. If one is Krishna conscious, one can derive everything. One just has to have the proper consciousness. One has to have the proper vichar. One has to have proper concentration, more proper thought. Everything is there in Prabhupada's books to overcome every single problem you have in your life. Even if it's material diseases, Prabhupada gives perfect solutions. how not to have a material disease, and to even overcome a material disease. Even that is there in the Vedas. Even that is given by Krishna. He gives perfect knowledge. One should not eat too much, one should not eat too little, one should not sleep too much, one should not sleep too little. By this way, one can come up, one cannot become diseased, one can stay healthy and sharp, but we don't follow such instructions. And then we go and look at the shelter somewhere else. And what does our consciousness become then if we take shelter somewhere else? Then we don't become dependent on Krishna. Then our consciousness at the time of death will be, well, who will help me? Maybe that life coach will help me. Maybe that life coach will help me. That's who we'll remember at the time of death. It's foolishness. We should be fully dedicated and always depending on Krishna at every time. Tatenu kampam sujikshamanu. Always tolerating our material inconveniences, thinking it to be that I'm deserving of this. Tolerate, but we are very weak. Our ability to tolerate, nothing is wrong. What is wrong here? Nothing is wrong. The spiritual master is there, bona fide representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Acarya Mam Vijaniyam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself is here. His representative, his pure representative. What is wrong? Nothing, it's just our consciousness. The spiritual master, the pure devotee can be there, but we can be completely in Maya. So Srila Prabhupada was there, so many of his disciples fell down. Is it Srila Prabhupada's fault that he's not pure enough? Is that the problem? When Krishna was on the planet, so many people couldn't recognize that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is it Krishna's fault? Is Krishna not pure enough? So if we have this separatist mentality of not being able to see the energies of the Lord and the mercy of the Lord and depend on the mercy of the Lord, then we'll simply become separatists. And what is our destination? We don't know. Then we do not know our destination. Then we have no idea what we're going to be, where we're going to be at, what we're going to do. No clue. Who are you going to take shelter of? Well, I'll take shelter of this person in order to make my devotional service better. Is that person practicing devotional service? No. Is he a pure devotee of the Lord? Or is he the devotees of the pure devotee of the Lord? No, then absolutely useless. Whatever advice you get from them, absolutely useless. Even if it seemingly helped you in your life, you forgot the real purpose. It's like, oh, it's helping me in my devotional service. My psychologist, going. Some people who are crazy need to go to psychologists, and can't recommend them not to go. But for the smallest problem, it's like too weak. Too weak. We have to become a little tolerant. Otherwise, forget it. Like, whenever there's a problem, we should immediately take shelter of Krishna, knowing that he is the only person that can give shelter. The spiritual master is the only person that gives shelter. The Vaishnavas are the only people that can give shelter. Nobody else can give us shelter. They're simply fallible soldiers. They're simply run by time. They're on the wheel of death. But the pure devotees of the Lord, for them, whether it's day or night, it doesn't matter. Time of death, it doesn't matter. For them, nothing matters. Why? Because they're completely on the platform of pure devotional service. Whether there's birth, death, old age, disease, they're above and beyond it. None of these things matter. They're above and beyond. They're above. So we should take shelter of them, not Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, even them. Today we'll approach a life coach. Tomorrow we'll approach Indra, the sun god maybe. We can ask them for benedictions. We can go do yajnas. We can do all of the Vedic sacrifices to get wealth, get good intelligence, get good memory, get good body. Anybody else want a better body? Anybody want a good body? Yeah. Anybody want a good body? Really beautiful body? Yeah. In this life, some of us got very ugly bodies. I asked one person when I was in high school. This is it's like somebody else says, how do you think I'm ugly? He's like, you're not the ugliest person I've seen. I was like, damn. I was like, damn, oh my God. It's like, that's rough, It's like, that's like being nice, but like brutal at the same time. You're not the ugliest. It's like, oh God. We want more beautiful looking bodies. Is that what we want? We want bodies that won't trouble us so much, not so diseased. No, we don't care. We don't care. We directly take shelter of Krishna and and push on, tolerating the difficulties that come, knowing them to be the mercy of Krishna. So by taking direct shelter, although externally it looks like pretty rough sometimes, externally things do get pretty rough in Krishna consciousness. Sometimes your best friends in Krishna consciousness leave Krishna consciousness. Sometimes the leader that brought you into Krishna consciousness leaves Krishna consciousness. Sometimes the devotees you think are going to be the next big thing, they become sahajas. They leave their spiritual master. So, amongst all those difficulties, if we don't make it a point to take shelter of Krishna, we'll end up taking shelter of someone else. So we should be tolerant in all these situations. We should continually remind ourselves to take shelter of Krishna. Continually push on, and yet, like I said, yes, there are so many difficulties. The body will present difficulties, the mind will present difficulties. But just, it requires a lot of strength to just go, okay, just let me, for once, it's so many lifetimes, this lifetime, just let me give it up. Let me give up the nonsense. Let me give up taking shelter of so many other fallible soldiers. They will not do me any good. Just simply take shelter of the spiritual master, of the Mahajans. Mahajana yata gata sapan, what is it? Tarko patishta, shutayo vivinnam. I've got it here, sorry. I'm going to read it out so I don't butcher it. No, I don't have it. Oh, okay, I don't have it. Anybody want to say it? Well, the last line is Mahajano yena gata sapantaha. Yeah, so one should follow the Mahajans, and those Mahajans have been specifically mentioned. Swayambhu Narad, Swambhu Kumara, Kapilo Manu, Pralado Janaka Vishmo, Balir Vayasakir Vayam. And the spiritual master, he is the representative of all of these Mahajans. He himself is a Mahajan. So simply follow. Just if everything goes wrong, follow the instructions. Look at Bhagavad Gita, everything is there. You have mental problems, everything is there. You have physical problems, everything is there. You have spiritual problems, everything is there. You don't have to look anywhere else, we really don't. And the more we push ourselves to look, the more we'll be able to see. The more you decide, like my spiritual master was saying this morning, I believe that for the karmis, if you're blind, there's no sun. For the karmis, to them there's no God because they cannot see. So the more we choose to open our eyes, the more we choose to surrender, the more we'll be able to see the solution to our problems. The more we'll be able to see that the only problem, as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, is the only lack in this world is that there's a lack of God consciousness, as lack of Krishna consciousness. So we should not take shelter of anyone else but Krishna and his pure devotees. And simply go on. And the more you do that, the more the material the inconveniences become small, and the more ecstasy and devotion one experiences towards Krishna. As this verse is mentioning, that actually that's what that is. All of these problems, they're there, but they become small like the hoofprint of a calf. Because why? Because the nectar of devotion is so large. This is like a very small, the material ocean becomes very small because the nectar of devotion is so large. Bhakti rasamrita sindhu. This is full of nectar, real nectar. This is just illusion. So then we should dive into that nectar. Then we choose to dive into that nectar. And then although right now our problems seem so huge, we realize actually it's so small. Actually, we're just stupid and foolish. We don't have much intelligence. So when one takes shelter of the Lord, he sees, because illusion, Actually, how do you overcome illusion? Well, it's illusion. One realizes it's illusion. It's not there, actually. It's not real. Actually, our real nature is that Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, what is it? Sadhya Kabunai, Shravanadi, Suddha Chitte, Karya Vidyai. That actually love of Godhead is already there in the heart of the living entity. One just has to arouse that. So this is actually all illusion. One just has to surrender to the principles of devotional service, and immediately he will see himself as Nitya Krishna Das. He's the eternal servant of Krishna. So if we can take shelter of the spiritual master and follow the instructions of the spiritual master to chant the holy name of the Lord purely, to follow the four regulative principles and push forward the mission of Lord Chaitanya, that's it. Nothing more. You don't have to do anything more. Really don't have to do anything more. There's no other desire. Arna kariho mani ash. And everything is fulfilled. All our desires are fulfilled. Everything. No problems. There is no problems. All the problems you have are illusion. The only problem is that there isn't enough Krishna consciousness. Now, so we should be on that platform. If you see the biggest problem as that, then you'll not have any problems. So Krishna consciousness is very simple, but it is difficult because we make it difficult. But if one simply can follow these instructions, then we'll see our lives in a very Krishna conscious way. We'll see our lives become transformed. And when we transform our own lives, when you do good to yourself, by taking up this Krishna consciousness, you'll do good to so many others. Because the natural thing is when one has something very nice, he wants to naturally share it. That is our nature. So I'll end my class there. If there's any questions or comments, please feel free to ask. Okay. Hare Krishna. Yes, Kalki Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Is it working?
He's going to turn it on.
Okay. Number two. Hare Krishna. Can I start talking or should I wait? Hare Krishna? Okay. Just a couple comments. I mean, I caught the end, so I didn't catch the full spectrum, so I may be a little off.
Yeah.
But just on some of those points you're making in the end, there's a verse I really like in the 10th canto, the first chapter. I won't quote the whole thing, but it talks about how, or Maharaj Parikshit's talking about like how all of his forefathers, like, they overcame like all these different like crazy difficulties by the mercy of Krishna. He describes it as like a really amazing verse. Mm-hmm. They just crossed over it like very easily. And just on that point, I was listening to a class the other day by Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, and you're kind of touching on that point in the end, but it's, you know, we take to Krishna consciousness and we may have problems, but our problems may not go away. But by practicing Krishna consciousness, we're able to deal with those problems. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's not that we practice Krishna consciousness just to like, we have problems in the material world just to like live a comfortable material life. But we, by the mercy of the Guru and the spiritual master and Krishna, we're able to, do what we need to do in this material, whatever problems may be there, and then execute Krishna consciousness with firm determination and attachment, and not be swayed by whatever, whatever offerings the material nature may give to us. So anyways, I had that. I had some other stuff, but I'll see if anybody else has anything else to say.
Okay. Yes, Avati Chandra Prabhu.
Chandan Acarya Prabhu, you're mentioning that one should be careful of name, fame, adoration, distinction, labha, puja, pratisha.
Yeah.
Would you say the best way to get rid of that is to associate with those who are free from labha,
Yeah.
puja, pratisha?
Of course, because they can point it out in us. That's the duty of the spiritual master, and those when we associate with those, if we're close with them, they'll point it out. And so that is the point that one should follow the Mahajans. One should be in close association, and one should be willing to take the instructions. Otherwise they won't instruct us. I've seen that with Maharaj. With my own spiritual master, that certain devotees he just won't instruct because he knows that they're not willing to let go of their labha, puja, pratishtha. He's said that straight up. Anyways, even if I instruct them, they're not going to follow my instructions. So better for me to not instruct them because they're too insincere. And for me, when I hear that, it's like, that's heavy. That's heavy because because of your insincerity, the spiritual master is not willing to, he knows that if he gives you the instruction, you will go lower in your devotional service. You'll fall because you will disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Right now, at least, there's no direct offense like that. But that means we can't make advancement because of our own insincerity. So yeah, we have to associate with those who are, who are free from that, because then they'll be able to point it out. And also, just like, when you have clean white cloth and you get some sabji in there or something, when I used to, back in the days when we were bhaktas, my God, when this you get something on it, you're done. And it's like some of these guys, they get new cloth every 7-8 months. And they had us on the 3-year program with just white cloth. Dude, it was suffering. They just had all this white stained cloth. But you can tell easily, it's pure white cloth, and then you got this tamarind, that drops, and it's oh, that's gone, that's it. And it's it's very clear. So it's like that when there's pure devotees and those who are free of those desires, and you come in that association, immediately it's whoa. You realize it too, oh my God, I have this. Someone like Bhrigupati Prabhu, my God, Just it's just free of all of those things, and you realize, okay, you have to be like that, and it's inspiring. So yeah, it's good to be in that association. But then if you're in association of all of these others who want Labha Puja Pratishta, and then there's this fighting, and we wonder, why is there fighting? I wonder why. Because everybody desires some level of material gain. We've seen that in this, at least in our ashram, and we're not just saying that. Those who are disciples of Srila Prabhupada, who've been practicing a long time, they notice that there's love and good reciprocation between the devotees. Why? Because that Labha Puja Pratishta is immediately cut in this ashram. You come in, it's no, there's no chance of that, because you got big devotees, walking around like Mahotsav Prabhu, Vishnuchitta Prabhu, and all these big stalwarts, and it's oh, okay, I gotta humble up here. You can't have the PDS syndrome here. You can't have the pure devotee syndrome here. That's one thing that I've not seen in this ashram, is new people coming in and having the PDS, pure devotee syndrome. I haven't seen that, right? I don't know if you. You see a small, but it's cut pretty quickly. You see it's here and there, but not as bad as what it was like when I was, when I was living in Australia with certain individuals. Myself, I didn't think become a pure devotee overnight. And so that's a nice thing about being in good association. Anything else? Yes.
It's popped in my mind, but just with this, Labha Puja Pratishta, it's not directly cited as this is the example, but it's definitely there. But with Daksha and this pastime with Lord Shiva, we see that just from he became so intoxicated with his position that he did crazy stuff.
Yeah, and Indra too.
Yeah, Indra, so many things. And one aspect of that also is too that there was nobody that could correct him. He had to be killed. Yeah. Ultimately, he was purified. He had a change of consciousness, and then he was able to appreciate Lord Shiva. But it was even his father couldn't instruct him. He was criticizing Lord Brahma, thinking what the heck is this? You instructed me to marry my daughter to this freaking vagabond. Yeah. He's crazy. He's what's the matter? He's criticizing Lord Brahma. So who's gonna instruct him? And Vishnu's just whatever. He's not dealing with that. He didn't show up at the second sacrifice. But just the point is it's how important association is, that someone has to be there to kind of correct us, and we have to take that shiksha. Because if he would have done that, and then someone could have gone and said, hey, chill the heck out, man.
Yeah.
But there was no one that could have done that. He was just thinking he was supreme.
Yeah.
So anyways, he got purified, but then still that desire was in the heart. So unless we take the pure devotional service and take those instructions seriously, that we'll always come back to that impure point.
Yeah. Yeah, we're lucky. We're lucky here. We have devotees who are close, and they straight up tell you what's wrong with you. It's hard to take, but it helps a lot. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Mataji's, anything? Any questions? Comments? No? Okay. All right. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki